All right, welcome, my fellow marks, to another edition of the Razz Sheet, where we're going to look at some of the lighter stories that get passed over each week in the Dirt Sheets, and also for all you marks in the Mark group. So on the Dirt Sheet this week, let's see. So last month, FCW wrestler and WWE Tough Enough winner Andy Levine was released from his WWE contract. He discussed his recent release and had a few things to say, and he said, "To be honest, man, I wish I knew the whole story of why I was released. It was one of those things where John Laurinaitis called me up and told me I wasn't progressing enough down there at FCW. So they released me to go out to the independent scene and gain a little experience. Yeah, I was released over the phone." Well, we all know that Stone Cold Steve Austin was once fired over the phone, but something tells me that Big Johnny isn't Eric Bischoff and Levine isn't quite Steve Austin. So good luck, Silent Rage. Maybe we'll see you again sometime soon. Until then, keep working those indies. Once again, in his regular spot here on the Razz Sheet, former WWE, WCW, and TNA Impact Wrestling star Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner is back in the news again. And he had some things to say about Hogan, but as we know, he hasn't been able to say much. But he did say, "I can't really talk about Hogan. He tried to have me arrested for talking about him. I'll just say he wears the right color, yellow." The host had commented that Hogan might not like that, and, well, Scott Steiner said, "It doesn't matter. He knows. He knows." As we know, and I'm a big fan of this whole war on Twitter, but Big Papa Pump really is the man. Hogan, you really have to lighten up, buddy. You took a guy's job away. Somebody should take away your job and see how you feel. In other news, though, Jillian Faye Fletcher, known during her time in the WWE as Jillian Hall, was arrested last month and charged with battery against her husband. Since the incident, the married couple of two have separated, and it's sad to hear such news like this. I always liked her singing gimmick. Was pretty interesting. It was kind of annoying, but it was annoying in a good way. And I hope she's in a good place right now in her life, because based on those pictures that I saw of those mugshots, damn, she needs a lot of makeup. But I want to see what you marks have to say out there in the Marks group. And first, I want to start with Danny Sanchez. And Danny Sanchez says, "Fellow Marks, it's been a long time, but Senor Sanchez is back. Where is La Marca? I pity the fool." I will let the Mark Father answer this one. And he said, "Last we heard on our podcast, marked up that Angry Cooter Future endeavored him for the lack of a segment. From what I hear, he'll be back with a better gimmick, but the mask remains the same, I guess. Stay tuned, anything can happen." Poor LaMarca, man. He tries to bring something good and he gets canned. But as they say in the wrestling business, never say never, so maybe we'll see him back. Steve Espinoza says, "Did anyone else notice that Elvis was at Monday Night Raw? LOL. All I can say is, yes, yes, yes. That is classic. Elvis is in the building, folks, and we now know he's a mark himself." So a good friend of the show, Brian Garvin, asked, "Does anyone else hear voices in their head, or is it just me?" Well, that is a good question, Brian. I mean, that voice inside tells me to turn Raw on Mondays and to turn off TNA on Thursdays. So yes, my friend, I do hear those voices. And last but not least, a fellow Mark, Joe Desario, says, "Somewhere in Poughkeepsie, a shrieking, high-pitched girly scream with joy was heard outside Tim Ostrander's house when he announced WWE 13. Ha ha ha. That is classic. Tim is a great Mark himself, but come on, Joe. That's your buddy. Apologize now. I mean, come on. At least make him think he's a 12-year-old boy who hasn't reached puberty yet." Well, that's it for this week's edition of the Razz Sheet. Once again, the only nation that speaks wrestling 24/7 is Razz Nation.